Hello and happy Wednesday. We are so excited to be here today with Ygrene, and we are going to meet their partners. I would like to introduce my, I don't even know if I want to call you a colleague. I don't know what to call you, my fairy godfather, Glenn Milburn from Ygrene Energy Fund. How are you today, Glenn?
I'm doing great, Selena. Thanks for having me back. It's great to be back at the BSBA.
Awesome. Tell us about what you're going to be talking about today.
Well, great. Well, first of all, Ygrene's award-winning property improvement financing built with consumer protections delivers great choice for homes and business owners, providing access to affordable financing and efficiency for renewable energy, water conservation, storm protection, seismic upgrades, you name it. I have one of my colleagues in the business development category called James Coombs, who's here to share a guest of ours today. James, take it away.
Glenn, thank you. And thanks, Selena and the BSBA for having us. I'm responsible for working with commercial property owner partners at Ygrene Energy Fund. You know, we work with a range of business owners, including apartment building owners, and even nonprofits like churches, private schools, and healthcare. So that's what we do. And I've been asked to invite a solar energy partner of mine, a fellow named Jeff Parr, who I've worked with for over a decade now, financing a range of projects. Jeff's not only the founder and owner of Solar Technologies, but he's a solar industry pioneer. And I think that'll come across when he talks to you guys. So Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Selena. Appreciate it. Thanks to the BSBA. Thanks for having me on. Happy to share some of the stuff that I've learned over the years. Selena, would you mind pulling up my presentation? All right, perfect. So can everyone, I hope everyone can see the full screen here. Looks like part of it's getting cut off, but I think it'll be okay. So what I wanted to do is spend a few minutes here helping everyone on the call to get a little bit more exposure about how solar works and how you save with solar, because that's kind of the hard part of figuring out, do you want to go solar, do you not? You have to be able to evaluate, you know, how is this stuff installed, how does it work, how do I save, what tax incentives are available, how can I finance these systems, etc. So I'm going to walk you through that here. If you don't mind going up a few slides here, Selena, go to slide 1. Sorry, slide 2. So we're Solar Technologies. I've been doing this for a number of years, been doing this for about 12 years. I founded my company about 12 years ago. We've got 3 different offices in the San Francisco Bay Area. We've installed over 4,000 systems, I think around 4,500, 4,600 systems. We've installed and do install residential systems for homes. We install commercial systems for what you would consider to be normal commercial businesses. Then we've also done a lot of nonprofit work for charities, houses of worship, schools, public school districts, government entities, etc. And what you're going to see here, although these slides present the way a homeowner would benefit from a solar power system, the same information applies generally to commercial, nonprofit, government entities, etc. So regardless of what type of utility payer you are, this presentation will apply. Selena, if you could go to the next slide, please. All right, well, there's a slide that's in between there. It doesn't really matter. We'll skip over it here. So if you get to this, that slide's fine right there, Selena. So how do you from a high level kind of solar 101, solar systems are very simple in their installation and operation. So essentially we're installing solar panels that go on a roof or a ground or a solar parking canopy. When the sun hits those solar panels, it produces electricity. That electricity is DC current. It goes through the wires to an inverter. The inverter inverts that to AC current, and then we connect to your building or your home's electrical system so that your home can use that power. So when you're producing solar power during the day, you're using that energy at your home or your business first. And if you need additional energy, then you would pull that from the utility grid like you do normally. So you're not disconnecting from the grid, you're just connecting both systems at the same time. And when you're producing solar, you use it. When you're using more electricity than your system is producing, you pull it from the grid. And when you're producing more electricity than you're using, it actually gets pushed back into the grid, and you get a credit for that electricity from the utility company. So the common question is, how do I save with solar? And I think this slide, although it's a little complex, it's very enlightening in answering that question. The utility companies typically charge you for kilowatt hours of electricity, units of electricity, and that's what your solar system generates. And so solar generates electricity at a cost of around, 15 to 20 cents per kilowatt hour if you're going to be financing your system. These rates here, the orange are the summer rates for PG&E, the blue are the winter rates for PG&E for a typical homeowner. So you can see the difference here from the red, what the solar is costing you, and what PG&E is charging you. When you're powering your home or business with solar, that entire spread between what PG&E would normally charge and what the cost of solar power is the savings that you're generating from your system. So when you're using solar power, you're generating the savings. When you're producing more power than you're using and it's getting pushed into the grid, you're actually earning a credit, and you're still unlocking these savings from the utility companies for that power that you're pushing back in the grid. So this kind of clearly demonstrates why people save so much with solar. The other question is, I've got an expensive bill, I've got a medium bill, I've got a low bill. Can I save with solar? Well, everybody can save with solar. In PG&E's territory, pretty much everybody saves about the same because everybody's getting charged the same based on the time of use rates now. They've flattened these out. Some utility companies in the state of California still have a progressive rate system. And you can see in the lower bar charts where you've got tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4, you can see there that if you're only using a little bit of electricity, you can save a little bit of money, but not that much money. The people who start saving more are the people who are using more electricity because they're being penalized by the utility company. They're being charged more for being a higher user of electricity. So there's more savings for them to unlock. But generally now, everybody can save solar. Generally, across the state, roughly half of the residential systems installed are installed by working class families. So it's really moved from being kind of a high bill type installation to a product that everyone can take advantage of now. Selena, if you could move to the next slide. You're going to become a net metered customer. Basically, in the summer months when you earn credits, those months roll over and you can apply those to your debits in the other months in the winter because your system produces less power or less electricity. So you're going to go through this 12-month period. You're going to go on a true-up schedule for 12 months. So credits that you earn in the summer can be applied to winter, and then your whole bill for the entire year nets out. And whatever you end up either generating or using from the utility company gets netted, and you pay once per year for your electricity. Selena, could you go to the next slide? Currently, you are eligible for a 26% tax credit as a residential home. There is no limit to the amount of the tax credit. So you take the gross cost of your system. In the year that the system is installed, you would apply for a federal tax credit through an IRS form 5695, and you would be entitled to receive a full tax credit for that 26% tax rate. The 26% tax credit is good for this year, it's good for next year, and then it steps down in 2023 to 22%, and then it goes away in 2024. So there is some time sensitivity here. You'd want to consult with your tax accountant for details on this, and we can help answer some questions. Selena, next slide. So some people want to pay cash, some people want to finance their system. This kind of demonstrates how easy it is to save with solar financing. And this is Glenn's business and James's business. They help individuals and business owners go solar with zero money up front. Really what we're trying to do when we finance a solar system is the gray bar demonstrates what your energy bill is before you go solar. After you go solar, we've obviously reduced your energy bill significantly, typically around 70 to 90%. And so the yellow bar is what you're left paying the utility company after you go solar. And when you finance your system with zero money up front, you're left with a financing payment. But as you can see, that blue bar represents the financing payment. That payment plus what you're left paying the utility company after you go solar is less than what your bill was before you went solar. So where you see the difference between these two, the net savings from solar, that's just to demonstrate that after you go solar, when you finance your system, generally your financing payment plus the bill that you're left paying the utility company is going to be about 15 to 25% less than what you were paying the utility company before you went solar. So generally nothing out of pocket, immediate savings from your system. The panels are guaranteed for 25 years typically. The inverters are guaranteed for 10 years. We've been doing this for 12 years, and I can say personally with thousands of systems installed, these systems are very reliable. Selena, go ahead, next slide, please. There are a variety of different financing options here. You can buy it with cash payment. You can do a loan. You can do a lease where you have a third party that's taking the tax incentives and you're essentially just buying the electricity from the system. There is a variety of different options here. Ygrene is a wonderful partner for loans, and there's some unique advantages to their program, but there's a variety of options here to go solar. Next slide, please, Selena. The last thing that I'd add is it's been proven, it's been well documented, and we see it time and time again. Solar adds value to homes and businesses. You know, essentially it eliminates the power bill for a home or a business, and the market, the buyers of homes and business buildings, apartment buildings, et cetera, see a lot of value in this. So not only are you saving money, not only are you transitioning to renewable energy, a cleaner source of electricity, but it's also appreciating the property that either the home or the business occupies. So it's pretty much a win in every respect. And that concludes my presentation. I hope it was helpful, and I'll be here to answer any questions if they come up.
Great. Well, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, James, for that wonderful presentation. It's great to hear a lot more about how homeowners can take advantage of solar to lower their energy costs. So that's valuable information. Our next guest is an amazing guest because, as you know, Ygrene provides financing for property owners to make energy efficiency, water conservation, and various other improvements to their properties. State-enabled legislation allows us to do that, and it's through our partnership with the Golden State Finance Authority. I have the privilege of introducing the Director of Marketing for Golden State Finance Authority, Carolyn Sanseri. Carolyn, she's going to share about our many home programs that help potential homeowners.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you all for having me a part of today's educational forum. I'm really pleased to be able to talk about our housing programs today. But before I do that, I want to introduce a colleague of mine. She is Megan Harris, and our program coordinator, who is also with me here today.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. I'm really happy to be here, excited for the content that we're going to discuss today. A lot of the perception around home ownership is that it's some distant dream that a lot of folks can't obtain. And so just really excited to share some of the information, resources we have available to bridge the distance between the dream and the reality.
Thanks, Megan. And in order to talk about our housing programs, I do want to share a presentation. And I'm only going to be able to cover highlights, but we will leave you with resources where you can gather more information at the end. Selena, can you bring up my presentation, please? Thank you. So we have been supporting homeownership for over 28 years here in California. Next slide. And the impact that homeownership has on families, communities, and the economy as a whole is repeated year after year in studies. Go ahead and next slide. There are many challenges that home buyers face, however, and the largest one being how to come up with the down payment that is needed in order to buy a home. Next slide. Sorry. GSFA is very proud of the impact that we've been able to have on California through our down payment assistance programs. We've been able to help over 82,000 Californians to purchase a home, and we've provided over $626 million in down payment assistance. And while half of our borrowers are in the Hispanic ethnicity. We are really endeavoring to increase home ownership within our other minority groups. And I'll get into the strategic plan that we have begun in order to impact that further. Next slide. Now, a example is always easier, where they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let me show you how down payment assistance can really address affordability. In this scenario, the borrower is getting a conventional loan, which requires 3% down. But through the GSFA Platinum program, they are qualifying for 5% in assistance. And that equals over $27,000. They can utilize that money for down payment, closing costs, or they could put it towards their principal if they wanted to. In this scenario, it's enough to cover the $16,000 that's needed for down payment and still leaves them $10,000 more to put towards their closing costs. Now, you might be thinking that seems a little bit easy. What is the catch? And so next slide, we're going to talk about some of those myths out there around down payment assistance and why people hesitate. Now, you may not be able to see my slide at the moment, but I'm going to go ahead and cover the details. A lot of the myths out there are around how difficult it is to qualify. Do you have to have exceptional credit? Do you have to only be a first-time home buyer? Or is it only for low-income borrowers? And none of those things actually represent the GSFA down payment assistance programs. We are much more flexible. We don't even have a first-time home buyer requirement. Our FICO scores are as low as 620. We are able to streamline the process to the lender, which means that it's not more difficult to process a down payment assistance program loan. And I want to go over a few of the attractive features of our programs, one of them being about the forgivability of that assistance. Selena, are we having trouble with the actual slide presentation? Okay, so we'll send out a copy of the slides to anyone in attendance after this so that you can see the visuals along with what I'm covering today. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and continue. One of our programs is called the Platinum Program, and it is the most attractive one, I think, to borrowers because the assistance that's provided, which is up to 5%. We are on slide 7. It is actually forgiven after 3 years. So once that borrower is in that property for 3 years, we completely forgive the money that was provided to them. In addition, for certain occupations, those people who work in law enforcement, education, public or private, within the health or medical industries, first responders, any of those occupations that you see there on the screen, those borrowers are actually going to qualify for the assistance through the Platinum Program as a gift on the first day. That means when escrow closes, that assistance that we provided is forgiven immediately. And for all other borrowers, it's forgiven after 3 years. Next slide. Our second down payment assistance program is called Open Doors, and there are some nuances between the two programs. The best advice I can give you is once you're in touch with one of our participating lenders and look at your own special circumstances and needs, they can help you figure out which program might be right for you. With the Open Doors program, more in assistance is available, up to 7%. Our FICO score requirement can go down to 620 versus Platinum, which goes down to 640. But the assistance is structured differently. Part of it is forgiven, and part of it is actually a second mortgage with a 0% interest rate, but it does have to be repaid upon sale or refinance of the home. Next slide. A couple of the general guidelines that you will see with our programs have to do with how much you can borrow and what type of loans that you can utilize with down payment assistance. Now, this program, all of our down payment assistance programs are for the purchase of primary residences, not investment properties or vacation homes, but a property that's going to be owner occupied by the borrower. But the income limits are very flexible. We don't have any income limits on our government loans. We follow the loan agency guidelines. And for conventional financing, our income limits are quite high. We are making down payment assistance available to low and moderate income borrowers. An example here is that in Riverside, LA, San Bernardino County, the calculation of income is $162,000. So someone making $162,000 or less can qualify for a conventional loan through our programs and still qualify for assistance. And again, government loans, we don't have any income limits. Our maximum loan amount is $548,250, which means that the maximum home price is going to be around there. And a borrower, if they want to, can put their own money towards a transaction as well. If they want to purchase a home, maybe over $560,000 or $570,000. And the program is available with a variety of different loans, as I mentioned, government loans and conventional financing. Next slide, please. Now we have over 200 lenders that are offering the programs, but you may want to find out more information. So in addition to a list of who all those lenders are on our website, we also have bulletins and announcements of changes and things in the program. We have training for lenders and real estate agents. We have videos where you can watch and learn more about the programs, and even marketing literature if you want to distribute and help promote the programs to home buyers. In addition, our client relations department is available Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, and we even provide a general email inbox where you can ask questions. Next slide, please. Now, I want to swing back to the whole topic of home ownership in regards to minorities, because what we're seeing is that minority home ownership is still far below the home ownership rates of Caucasians. And on this slide here, it's even showing you that the lowest category of homeownership rates is within the Black community. And so we are really going to be focusing now and into the next few years on how to increase minority homeownership rates. It is a huge factor in building financial security to own real estate. In fact, it's estimated that the net worth of a renter is around $6,000 versus a homeowner in the United States at $255,000. So how can GSFA get more involved in impacting this? Well, we looked at our own numbers in terms of our Platinum Down Payment Assistance Program and who is utilizing the program. We're excited to say over 50% are Hispanic borrowers, which is great. But we're not seeing as many African Americans, Asians, and other minority groups utilizing these programs, which is why we want to focus our marketing and outreach for the next 3 years on really impacting minority homeownership. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you. So we've created a marketing and outreach campaign specifically for increasing homeownership rates of minorities. We're calling it Build Minority Wealth Through Homeownership, and it's already begun about a year ago, and it's involving 3 categories: empowering our mortgage and real estate partners, advancing minority homebuyer education, and ultimately creating more minority home buyers or homeowners. Next slide, please. In order to do this, we're utilizing various communications channels. We're improving the ones that we already have in place today, such as our website and social media. But we've also begun to establish a YouTube channel that provides video content and other ways to reach our lenders and real estate agents with valuable information that they can then pass on to home buyers. Targeting other organizations that are aligned with these kinds of initiatives is also a top priority for us. And we have been heavily focused on the Black community and how we can impact that group. Next slide, please. The Advancing Minority Homebuyer Education Initiative really focuses on improving awareness. We notice, and studies are still showing this, that over 70% of adults are still not aware that there are down payment assistance programs. So how can we impact that? Well, that's by putting more educational information out there, and especially working with minority groups. So we've begun an educational campaign in conjunction with Black-led churches and other Black-led organizations. We're also expanding our work with the HUD counseling offices that are out there educating borrowers today and providing more resources through them to reach minorities. We have also been focusing, next slide, on on working, my apologies, go back a slide. We are also working really closely with organizations such as National Association of Minority Mortgage Bankers, the California Real Estate Association, and some other organizations who are strongly aligned with minority education as well. We're putting content out there through a Black-owned media relations company, and that's allowing us to get information out in podcasts and webinars and magazine formats out to groups that are heavily impacting and involved in the Black community. Next slide. Now, you've all heard and probably have watched that movie where you've heard the saying, if you build it, they will come. We strongly believe that if we keep identifying the barriers, addressing affordability, making our programs better and better each year, by creating the awareness and education out there, demystifying those things around down payment assistance, breaking those myths, and delivering financial literacy, that we are going to see an increase in minority home ownerships. Next slide, please. And so I want to thank everyone for having us here today. This does take a team. It's a partnership of all of our organizations that are out there impacting homeownership, home buying, and energy efficiency. And we are really pleased to be in partnership with BSBA and with Ygrene in making this all happen. So thank you very much. Back to you, Selena.
Selena is over here stressed out. It's always some kind of technical difficulties, but I want to bring everybody else on to this conversation and just, kind of ask a couple of questions. And so I'm going to start with you since you just ended, and this just makes me really excited. I love when I have people texting me during a broadcast saying, oh my God, this is great. I want to give a shout out to my board member, Ivan Johnson. He says, this is awesome. He's in the market for a home. He wants to buy a home. And so this information is just invaluable to our community. Now, I actually was able to take advantage of the, hi, Miss Benita. Great info. Thank you. We're trying to do something over here. I was able to take advantage of the GSFA Platinum program. And I bought my home in 2016. It was literally probably the most simple process of all of the home buying process. This was the most painless. Now, when I was able to take advantage of the program, it was 100% a gift. So I think I got $17,000 for a down payment for my home. Has the program changed any?
Your experience was from a few years ago, right?
Yes, 2016.
Well, thank you for sharing it. And yeah, the programs have changed. In the time since then, we have a second down payment assistance program, Open Doors. And then what we're always doing is trying to look at what the needs are in the market, and then how can we better structure the program to meet those needs. So we saw that we needed to be able to provide maybe more than 5% in assistance for some borrowers. Some borrowers don't have any cash at all for the closing costs as well. So Open Doors was created to provide a larger amount of assistance. In doing that, we have to look at how do we come up with the money. And so sometimes our programs get changed, and Platinum and Open Doors both are restructured in a way that not every borrower is getting a gift. However, some borrowers are getting a gift immediately. Some borrowers, that down payment assistance is forgiven after 3 years. And then in some cases, it's half of it is forgiven. And so you got in when it was all a gift immediately. Some of that has changed. But when you sit down with a lender today and look at your individual situation, they can determine which program might fit better. We've also seen some increases in what we allow in debt to income ratios. We've been able to allow for more higher debt to income ratios. We know in California, rent is a huge portion of people's income. And there are very few people that don't have other extraneous debts. And so the more flexible that we can get, the more we can make home ownership accessible. So you do see some changes. A good way to stay involved in what happens and what changes is to subscribe to our bulletins, and you can get those off of our website.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to ask Jeff. Jeff says the mortgage assistance program is cooler than solar anyway. That's hilarious. Unmute yourself, Jeff. I have a question for you, because solar is a pretty sexy topic nowadays, right? We were talking a little bit yesterday before the call, and I was just saying how, I got my house with GSFA. They helped me get my house. Now I have this house, and I don't know if it's big enough to even put solar on. Can we talk a little bit about how do you determine if solar will work for you? I heard you say that, it's a matter of how much electricity or energy you're using. So how do you determine if solar works for you? And then my follow-up question is, okay, so I'm all in. I want to do this. I want to get solar on my home. How does the process begin? Do I call Ygrene first and say, hey, I want to get solar on my home and I want to use the PACE financing project to do it? Does Ygrene then connect me to a Jeff? Do I have to find Jeff myself? Tell me how this works. So first for you, Jeff. Where do I start? I have this little house. I got a tiny home and I want to put solar on it. How does this work?
Yeah, generally now, anybody who's got a bill over electricity bill. So all we do is offset electricity bills. Anybody who's got an electricity bill over around $50 to $75 a month will save with solar. Generally, we kind of target around 75 to 100, but pretty much everybody saves with solar now. So if you're interested, you can search for an installer like us. A lot of people use Yelp. They'll do Google searches. There's a lot of us out there. Do your research. Find companies that have been in this business for a while, have a proven reputation, have the infrastructure. There's a lot of small contractors that kind of come and go in this business. So do your research. Another great resource for you is to contact finance companies like Ygrene. They have a lot of trusted installers that they work with. So they'll be able to refer you to quality contractors that can do that work for you. But generally the process is pretty simple. A company like ours would request your monthly electricity bills. We would then go online. We would design a system using satellite imagery to show you where those panels would go on the roof. We would show you how much you would save. We would show you what those tax incentives would be, show you what different financing options might look like. And then if you decide it's something you want to do, there's a permitting process. There's an interconnection process with the utility company. It takes about a day to install a system, sometimes even half a day. And then you're up and running and you're saving with solar power. So it's a very simple process. And it really starts with just kind of asking the question, is my home or my business or my church or whatever appropriate for a solar system?
Oh, is my church appropriate? I hope the churches are watching. I hope my church people that are on my list are watching. Jeff, do me a favor in the private chat, put your the email and the phone number of how people can get in touch with you so I can scroll that. I have a question from Miss Megan. So I heard Miss Carolyn talk about the how the African American community or Black community is not, the numbers are still low on home ownership. Why do you think that is? And what do you think we can do? And if it's a loaded question and you can't answer it, you can say, hey, let's connect on that later. And I'm totally okay with that, because I'm interested in finding the information out just for myself, because, we're always trying to put information out to the community, because what we find is that there is a huge access to information gap in our community. And so we're always looking for ways to put good information out and make sure that the community has it. But if you want to answer this, what do you think the barriers are for African Americans to know about the programs? And then where can we find home assistance programs information? Now, I have your website and all of that, but let's say I don't know where to start. I don't have GSFA's information. What do I do? I Google it? What do I do? I don't know. What do I do?
So all of those are fabulous questions, Selena, and huge, like lots of answers to all of the questions that, especially the ones about what distances us, especially in the minority community, right, from home ownership. Now, Black people specifically have a unique history with respect to our residency in America. And so having that experience also brings along a certain set of challenges. I think a lot of us are really kind of surviving, right? We're making ends meet, we're paying our bills, we're doing what we have to do to provide for ourselves and our families. And in the process, we kind of get lost when it comes time to focus on advancing our vision, right? Taking our legacy to the next level, because we're so focused on just making it, just surviving, that the idea of thriving at some points can be out of reach for many people, right? And so one of the things with home ownership in particular is that we've always phrased it as a dream, something that is kind of out of reach, unattainable. And so, and that's not just limited to Black people, right? That's everybody in America has this idea of home ownership as this kind of distant reality. And so one of the things that contributes to the psychology around homeownership is that ideal, that it is somehow unattainable. And so what we want to do, especially with GSFA in our programs, is bring this to a grassroots level. We're knocking on people's doors, making them aware of the fact that these programs are available, so that you know what your resources are, that we aren't complicating the process of buying a home. I think what's happening here is that the information gap is huge. Regular people, educated people, everybody in between, we don't know what we don't know, right? So if we haven't been exposed to mortgages and how it works, how to buy a home, what the process is, then we really don't even have a frame of reference of where to start. So it doesn't matter how, it's not a measure of your intelligence, it's not a measure of your, aptitude in any way, but it is a situation where you need access to information. So that brings us to your next question. How do we get the information to everyone, right? Where do you start? So first thing you want to do is visit our website, www.gsfahome.org. You want to click on housing programs and kind of click on the program descriptions. We have the Platinum Down Payment Assistance Program, as Carolyn highlighted, as well as the Open Doors Program. Look at the program overviews to kind of give yourself a general understanding of how the program works, in addition to the slides that'll be provided afterwards. And then give one of our client relations team members a call. We'll be happy to go over the program ins and outs with you, but do expect that you will be working with a lender from beginning to end of the process in terms of qualifying you for the home loan, because that is the way it's set up. We want to minimize inconvenience to all the parties involved. So whether you're a realtor, a loan officer, the home buyer yourself, we really want to make this a very streamlined experience so that you're not spread out everywhere wondering what's going on. So first thing, visit our website. Second thing, give us a call. And I believe our number is 855-740-8422. That's a toll-free number. Okay, so give us a call. We'll be happy to go over our details. We also have a list of participating lenders on the website. We have hundreds of participating lenders that we work with. If you are already working with a mortgage lender and you're wondering if they're on that list, also visit our website for that information as well. And if you'd like some assistance with getting your loan or your application transitioned into a GSFA program, we can help assist you with that as well.
That is awesome. Awesome. That was an awesome explanation. I like it. I want to just take a second to give a shout out to my loan officer. His name is Jim Hansen at Guild Mortgage. It's not a commercial for Guild Mortgage, but he was the one who told me about this program. And if it weren't for his expertise and knowing how to navigate it, I don't think I ever would have been able to take advantage of it. So Jim Hansen, you get the award today for being the best. Okay, so I want to put up Jeff's information. If you're looking for solar, call Jeff, because he looks like he knows what he's doing pretty much. And I am going to turn it back to Glenn or James or whoever to close us out from Ygrene, because I have learned, I think I'm information overload, and this is, I love it. So back to you, Glenn.
Well, thank you, Selena. Again, knowledge is power. I want to thank all of our guests today. I want to thank James, my colleague from Ygrene. I want to thank Jeff Parr from Solar Technologies. I also want to thank Carolyn and Megan from Golden State Finance Authority for their time today. Lots of great information. Take advantage of the information that we presented today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you all.
Thank you.